All right, let's move on to the final game before we talk about next week's championship. The Bills and the Chiefs. I mean, it was a game for the ages. I kind of don't like the hyperbole that's going around social media that this was the game of the century. I mean,
best game. I've seen people say best game ever. Not even a question mark. Just like best game ever.
Come on.
Like, come on.
I mean, that's kind of. You could argue, but there was a lot of great games.
And people are always going to say the best games ever nowadays are ones that are high scoring, like this. It's touchdown,
right,
back and forth.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's the most exciting game, maybe.
Right.
Good.
Right. Yeah. So the Bills and the Chiefs, like a lot of these games in the divisional round, I think I mentioned this to you. A lot of them came down. There wasn't a whole lot going on early in the game. And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter exploded. Like, look at this game. It was 21 to 20. The Chiefs were ahead 23-21 at the end of three quarters. The Buffalo scored 15 points in the fourth, and the Chiefs scored 13 in one quarter. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. The Chiefs had the lead, 23-21. The Bills, I think the Chiefs kicked another field goal to make it 26-21. The Bills went down and scored with about a minute 50 left.
Got the extra point.
Got the two-point conversion. Went ahead 29-26. Then the Chiefs come down and throw a 50-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. He just outruns everybody.
64-yard pass.
Right. So now they go ahead 33-29. Then Josh Allen comes down and drives down and throws another touchdown pass with 13 seconds left.
So it's 36-33.
36-33. And then the Chiefs take the next kick and in 13 seconds drive down to kick the game-tying field goal.
How does that happen?
I don't know how that happens. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And then it goes to overtime. The Chiefs win the toss. They score a touchdown and the game's over.
And real quick before we get more in depth, how about you can say they both had good drives, both these quarterbacks, but Mahomes, I mean, I'm not saying that Mahomes hasn't proven he can have a game-winning drive. He obviously has. I'm saying in this game, though, he throws a 64-yard touchdown pass to Hill, great. But then, what's his name? The Bills quarterback,
Josh Allen.
Allen actually drives them down to go ahead, right? He doesn't just throw a 64-yard touchdown pass. He has a drive that drives him down the field. I'm just saying that's.
Well,
it's more impressive than throwing a deep pass.
No question. No, I mean, let's look at Josh Allen was 27 of 37. He threw for 329 yards. He threw 4 touchdowns. He had 68 yards rushing. Okay. Now let's look at Mahomes' stats real quick. Mahomes was equally impressive: 33 of 44, 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, 69 yards rushing. These two guys are unbelievable. I'll tell you, the thing that impresses me more about Josh Allen than Patrick Mahomes is that Patrick Mahomes runs when he has to run, okay? And he's very effective at it. Josh Allen, they actually planned for him to run. I mean, there were a number of plays where it was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, even once on 4th down. He just took the ball and started to run with a blocker out in front of him, and he's hard to stop. He's almost impossible to stop.
Yeah, he's bigger than Mahomes, I think.
Yeah, he's huge.
Mahomes is maybe elusive.
Yes.
But Allen's actually tough to stop. He's 6'5", 237.
Yes.
I mean, that's huge.
Try tackling that guy.
Yeah, I mean, forget the fact. I mean, he's a quarterback, but I mean, Mahomes is 6'3", 227. But
Right.
Something about Allen seems like he's a harder nosed quarterback.
There's no question. There's no question.
And he's. I think if there was any question of whether or not he's I don't know if there would have been, but maybe outside of Buffalo there was. If there's any question of whether or not he's the franchise guy, no question for the rest of his career. I think he put those to rest.
He did.
He had made some bonehead moves in that Texans playoff game a couple years ago. He threw the ball. He had made some weird mistakes. I remember us saying he's going to have to stop. He's going to have to take care of the ball better and not make those mistakes. But he's improved in that category.
Yes, he has.
I mean, he's dominant, like you said. He's going to be in a Super Bowl very soon. I think.
No, he is. I mean, he is. And
he would have been in one of this. I think either one of these teams are going to beat the Bengals. But I feel like the Bengals have a better chance to beat the Chiefs than the Bills.
I agree.
think the Bills would have handled the Bengals.
I think Josh Allen is living in the space right now that Brett Favre lived in the mid-'90s. In other words, Brett Favre had trouble getting past the Cowboys. He's having trouble getting past the Chiefs. Yeah. But I think he'll get past it. The interesting thing about this game, though, is Josh Allen, as I said, accounted for about 400 yards of total offense just himself. They only ran the ball for about 109 yards. I mean, if you take Allen's out of there, they only ran for 41 yards.
He had the most carries on the team.
He did, yeah. And then look, how about this guy Gabriel Davis? I mean, where did the guy come from? I mean, I really hadn't heard much about him. I don't think he's their number one receiver because Stephon Diggs is. He had 8 catches for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns. So obviously the Chiefs were trying to game plan Diggs out of the game, and they did a good job of that. He only had 3 catches for 7 yards. And Dawson Knox, tight end, 2 catches for 9 yards. Yeah. The guys that were the big hitters were Davis and Beasley. Beasley had 6 catches for 60 yards.
Don't feel bad that you don't know where he is. He had 35 catches this year.
Yeah, and then he had
for 549 yards.
Yeah, so basically
6 touchdowns. Though.
Yeah, but he had almost that many touchdowns in one game.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of those touchdowns, though, one of those touchdowns, I think the one that put them ahead 27-26 before the 2-point conversion, the Chiefs' defensive back fell down. I mean, he fell down, and Josh Allen saw him, and he just banged through it. So that was one of them. But it was a tremendous game. I mean, now all of a sudden everybody, they need to change the overtime rules. I mean, come on, listen, they are what they are, right? I mean,
yeah. Before you do the overtime, let's talk about the 13 seconds left.
Yeah,
13 seconds left. Yeah, and then we'll get into overtime.
All right, I'll let you start with that. What do you think about it?
I don't see how that happens. I mean, I know Mahomes is a great quarterback, but like, how do you? I don't know. I think they probably were playing back coverage. I don't know. It's tough. I'm not saying it's an easy decision, but if you're the defensive coordinator, do you pressure somebody like Mahomes in that situation, or do you think he didn't have much time? Don't just sit back and let them catch it and run up and tackle him. I don't know. I almost feel like with some of these great quarterbacks like that, you have to pressure them.
Yeah, I agree.
And did they do that really? I don't.
I don't know. Well, that last drive that tied the game.
I have to say I didn't watch this live, so
okay.
Well, I'm not fully caught up on.
All right,
I saw some of the highlights.
Here's the thing. Okay, they started on the 25. They had 44 yards in passing in 10 seconds. Okay, now
how many timeouts they have?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a really good question.
We probably should have rewatched this before we talked about it.
Let me see.
Also, another when you look that up, this is a tough decision. I know these are tough decisions, but you're up 30. You're up 36-33. You score with 13 seconds left. I know you don't want to give Mahomes a short field at all, but how about scribbing it?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you would give them the ball with maybe that would take off an extra what maybe.
That's the key, right there.
That may only give them the ball with like 5 seconds left.
Well, what you need to do there is
kick it in the middle, like on the.
They got the ball on the 25-yard line. Okay, so. Because of the fact that he kicked out of the end zone. So you got to force them to field the ball. Either squib it or kick it high and force them to either fair catch
Make them return it.
Make them return it.
But
That's
also,
exactly right.
I say make them return, but you also don't want to just like straight up kick it to the return guy.
No.
He could return for a touchdown. Squib it or pooch it to somebody that's not the return guy.
Right. But see, that you got again, this is easier said than done. But you got to kick it really. The best thing to have done there was not necessarily kick it high and short, because all he's going to do is call a fair catch.
Kick a line drive down the middle of the field.
Line drive down the middle of the field, or to the right or left, where he's got to go get it.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then he's got to either down it at the 10 or the 5, which is good, or he's got to run it to get out of bounds.
Or either way, even if he runs up, worst case scenario, even if it bounces right to him and he runs up at like the 20 or something,
right? You're
taking time off the clock is the point.
Correct.
Yeah, you're right. You can't just pooch up in the air. Some guy would just fair catch it.
I mean, when they got the ball to the 25, Mahomes threw a pass. Let's see here. It was 1st and 10 on the 25. He threw a 19-yard completion. And then he threw another completion for 25 yards. So how do you let them do that too? You got to...
Again, I didn't watch this, but I'm willing to bet they're just sitting back there and just rushing their front four.
Probably, which is not smart in that situation. But nonetheless, the squib kick would have been the better move there. And, the overtime situation is what it is.
I understand they're thinking themselves, it's unlikely we're going to lose, right? So why blitz a guy or bring a corner or safety and give Mahomes a hot read? He can just. But then again, I'm thinking you also want Mahomes just to be comfortable in the pocket.
Right.
Like, pushing people in his face a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess the thinking there maybe is that you got 13 seconds left, right? If we
I wish I
clog
knew how many timeouts they had. I wish I could
they had
find
to
out.
have at least one.
Okay.
They had to because I think that
Well,
last
I could probably find out in the game cast.
I think the last drive here, if I remember correctly, let me check it again. The last drive, his last pass was short, middle of the field to the Buffalo 41. Catch made by Kelsey, and then he ran it down to the 31. So they had to have a timeout.
Yeah,
There's no way they could have thrown it up the middle that way. So the point there is that, obviously the Bills, I think, messed up by kicking it deep in the end zone.
The more I think about it, if they would do what we said, they win the game.
They win the game. They got to win the game. Yeah, I mean,
it's unlikely that a returner takes a squib kick and returns for a touchdown. Like, if you kick it off to him and he catches it, he can. But it's going to be bouncing around the ground. It might. I also wouldn't kick it like far. No. I'm just like make one of these other guys return. That's not a return man.
Right.
Good.
But here's another thing. The Chiefs started that drive on their own 25, right? Because the ball went out of the end zone. Even if they start on the 15, that's one extra play, and they wouldn't have gotten a field goal range, right? I mean, even if you can just take away 10 of those yards,
right? That's what I'm saying.
Or 15 of those yards, even if he fair catches, is what I'm saying.
Again, I'm not. I know you're saying that you're going to put them further back in their own territory. I don't care so much about the yards. I'm saying they very well, especially if you just kind of squib it, they very well could have better field position than their own 25, but they're going to have less time. Is my point. They have 6 seconds, 5 seconds.
That's true, but here's the thing though: is remember,
or less than that, the ball bounces around a lot.
You're right, but here's the thing:
they can't.
The clock doesn't start until they touch the ball.
Okay.
All right. So if you squib it, and it only goes, say,
well, I'm not saying squib it 10 yards. I mean,
no, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying even if you squib it, there's a good chance that they down it at the 30 or 35.
I guess I never thought about this. I guess if some guy gets the ball, he can just take a knee in the field.
That's all he can do. He can give himself up.
He can give himself up. That's what
right.
I'm saying. Okay.
Now, but my point is, though, that I think the best strategy there would to either be kick it high and let the guy field it like at the 10. Now he's got to decide, do I fair catch it at the 10 or do I run and try to get out of bounds?
Okay. Given what you just said, I didn't think about that angle of it. It's not. It would be better to do what you said, not to squib it. I forgot the guy could just catch it and give himself up, and the clock stopped. I was thinking you'd have to be forced to return it, but he doesn't. He could just give himself up.
He could just give himself
up. You're
up.
right, but if the guy catches it on the 10 or the 5, he has to make a decision. Do I just give myself up, or do I?
Now you make a good point though about the squib. Is that usually those guys that are in the intermediate range on a squib
don't know what
kick,
they're doing.
Right. No, that's a good point. Yeah. But another thing is, even when you give yourself up, there's about 2 seconds there where you have to show you're giving yourself up, where the referee's going to determine, okay, he gave himself up.
Yeah.
So it's unlike a fair catch, and you can't fair catch a squib kick.
Right. But I guess I should be more knowledgeable about this. But how does it work nowadays, then, fella? If that guy does that, can he just take a knee? Or is he like? How does that?
No, he can't take a knee because remember that doesn't mean you're down.
That's what I'm saying. But what does he have to do to show?
I think he has to just like
lay flat on
the ball or something like that to show I'm not moving. I don't have.
Okay.
Because remember, putting the knee down, you can still get up and go.
Right, but is that not showing that he's giving himself up?
No, it doesn't. Yeah, because you have to physically show.
But to your point, even if he lays down, the revs aren't going to blow the whistle immediately.
No, it's going to be a couple seconds go off the clock. Right.
I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway, that's that game. We could talk about that forever.
And again, though, are the Chiefs really telling these guys to prepare for something like that? Like, let's say you get to some of these mid-range guys that gets the ball. Is he going to have enough what do you call it? Wherewithal to do that? I think he may just be like, oh crap, he may just try to run with it, right? and then you get think about that.
I would hope that the special teams coach during the TV timeout after the touchdown tells them, okay, here's what you're going to do.
I guess my point is these guys aren't used to handling the ball.
No, they're not. No, they're not. That's why you put a hands team on when you're expecting an onside kick, right?
Right.